Well, the 28th Infantry Division Shrine started off as a training ground for a mounted machine gun troop that was raised by prominent businessmen who lived across the street. They went off to fight with the 28th Division during World War I, and when they came back on these grounds, they coexisted as an active duty cavalry post and an officers club. In 1924, they dedicated 2 monuments to officers, one officer who was killed in action, Brigadier General Edward Ziegerfuss, and another who survived the war but died a week before the dedication ceremony for Ziegerfuss's monument. His name was Asher Miner from Wilkes-Barre. Those 2 monuments are what started the shrine complex, and that was dated September of 1924. And basically, ever since then, the division has come here on an annual basis to dedicate monuments and shrines to remember the fallen. That was initially dedicated to the National Guard, and then it was expanded to include all Pennsylvanians who served in various branches because, as you well know, the National Guard consists of a number of prior service people from other branches. And that was built in 1968, the height of the Vietnam War, when the museum came into existence. And we are now into the 21st century and still telling the story of Commonwealth citizen soldiers.
Friends and supporters of the 28th Infantry Division, welcome to Boalsburg, and thank you for being here to honor our fallen. As Pennsylvania's 52nd Adjutant General, I've been honored to participate in many great traditions, but nothing compares to this memorial service here in Boalsburg. This place and this ceremony exemplify the service that Pennsylvanians of every generation have performed for our country. But this history hasn't come without cost. The names of the fallen are written on the wall behind me. They are written on the dog tags that swing in the breeze inside the obelisk to your left, and the original monument at Fort Indian Town Gap. The names are written on the post offices, bridges, and roadways named in their memories. And of course, those names are written on grave markers and cemeteries throughout the Commonwealth, the country, and even Western Europe. Those names, or rather the lives they symbolize, are the reason we gather here year after year. Together, these names spell out a century of war and thousands of lives lost to sustain the freedom and security all Americans enjoy. In the global war on terror, the 28th Infantry Division has triumphed over and over again. History will no doubt remember this, just as it will remember the soldiers who died to ensure the success of these missions. As I conclude, I would like to ask you, please remember all service members that are serving throughout the world so that we have the freedoms that we enjoy today. God bless you, and may God continue to bless this great country. Roll on. And thank you all for attending today's annual Boalsburg ceremony, where we pay tribute to all of the fallen warriors from the 28th Infantry Division and the Pennsylvania National Guard, who gave their lives in defense of our freedom. For more than 2 centuries, Americans have been called to serve and sacrifice for the ideals of our founding. And the men and women of our military have never failed us. They have left many monuments along the way. Our current generation of warriors answer the call to defend our freedom, and we all know that this commitment comes at a very dear price. All of our faithful warriors who have made the ultimate sacrifice are true heroes. They are an inspiration to all of us gathered here, and I know they will be an inspiration to untold numbers of future generations of Americans. Their heroism and dedication, their sacrifice, is their legacy.
When less than 1 in 4 people of age for military service meet the minimum qualifications to serve, and less than 0.5% of all Americans will serve in uniform, you stand the testament for our nation and for our service, and you continue to serve both in peace and in war. It is a privilege to be here with you today as we gather on this hallowed ground to remember the brave men and women of the 28th Infantry Division, the Iron Division, the oldest continuous serving division in the United States Army. For as it's written in Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. The brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who fought together in Ramadi, like those who fought before them from the Iron Division in World War I, World War II, who served in Europe during the crisis in Korea, those who served in Bosnia, Kosovo, Sinai, Kuwait, Iraq, and Afghanistan. They served together and fought for each other. We laughed, cried, sweat, and bled for each other. The author Sebastian Junger best describes why soldiers are willing to fight and literally lay down their lives for one another in 3 simple words: fear, killing, and love. For the American soldier, fear is ever present as we take up arms when our nation calls, and it's often at the risk of our own lives. Soldiers overcome this fear and engage the enemy to take lives if necessary, which I would offer is a largely unnatural act, for we as humans are predisposed to love, not to kill. And why? For love, arguably the most powerful human emotion. We fight for the love of country, the love of duty, for the love of freedom, for the love of family, and most of all, for the love of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines with whom we serve. Why? Because that warrior would do the same for us to secure our nation and our way of life. Their service and sacrifice brings to mind the timeless words of President Abraham Lincoln when he spoke in Gettysburg, which is just 110 miles from here, yet 151 years ago, when he said that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of their devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. That is why I am here today. That is why we are here today. Because today, we honor those brave warriors who would have been here to remember us if we had fallen. Today we remember them and salute our fallen comrades and all those who love them, because as long as we remember, they will never leave us.
109th Infantry, 110th Infantry, 111th Infantry, the 2nd Brigade Combat Team, 1st Battalion, 213th Air Defense Artillery.
Well, I'll tell you what, if my son were here and could tell you how he feels about today, it would be the fact that he would feel that he doesn't deserve a day like today to be remembered. He never really felt when he was serving that he was, you know, that he was worth what people shaking his hand, telling him thank you for your service, although it was appreciated. But you know, I know if Chad was here, he would probably be crying his eyes out just to know that someone still remembers that he had paid the ultimate sacrifice and what he had been through. Chad, for me, was, it's the hardest thing I think I've ever been through. I don't think there's anything a father could go through that's worse than having a soldier that has paid the ultimate sacrifice, but I know because of his sacrifice, we now know that we have freedoms maybe that we wouldn't have otherwise, and not just from Chad, but from others. And so therefore, you know, just to be able to talk to those that are currently serving in the military, for us and my family, it's truly an honor.
We attend it every year, and I think it's a great way to honor everyone in the military, the ones we've lost and the ones that are still working hard to keep us safe. He would be here today for sure, and he's, you know, he's gone, but he was doing what he wanted to do, and he believed in what he did. And this is his daughter, Alexa, who is 8. Alexa was 6 months old when he was killed. So she really knows him through all of us, which we keep his memory alive. So.
And does she attend every year as well?
Yes, she does.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I'm collecting dog tags from my dad.
I see it. I see you're getting it.
This is my second one.
I think it's a beautiful, beautiful facility and a beautiful ceremony, and it's always very well planned, and we really enjoy it.
When you go to school, when you play guitar, write your stories and listen to tunes, I will fight for you. I will fire my weapon, I will sweat, I will bleed, I will pray,